as bad as people think it is. Woo! Get a little slick air dip. Uh-oh. That ain't good. It's over here in the corner. We'll get up here. Hopefully. The Lord's with us. Of course, there is some bad ruts up here. Ooh. And there has been nobody up here on this trail. Let's see. Should not have done that. If anybody can tell me why there's these little bitty ruts that seem to come up here, and I don't know if it's people trying to take a front wheel drive, it's not four wheel drive, or they just kind of say, hey, I see a road there, I want to see what it looks like. And I don't know if their back tires spin and make all these little ruts, but that's what I figured. It is, let's see, 4:35. Sun will be up here about an hour or so. We're headed to Wiseman's View on a snowy day. Beautiful day. Very beautiful day. I've probably been on at least 30 trails on this road, but I never have been up old Highway 105 at 4:30. But at least there's good traffic. Very good traffic. And there's a lot of camping spots. You probably can see all the camping spots I'm trying to get that I can't get in the summertime. They're all free. So it's anywhere you want to set up. Anywhere you want to set up. I've had people ask me what would I do if there ever was like a civil unrest, or the government, or what do I want to do when the Democrats take over. What are you going to do when I'm trying to talk and getting these ruts? What are you going to do when there's no Constitution? People ask me, say, when the bad stuff hits the fan, what do you want to do? Well, I know what I would do. I would probably hit Linville Gorge, because if you want to get gone and never see him again, then Linville Gorge is a place you need to come by and see. So you have Table Rock, you have Short Off Mountain, Pine Mountain, and you got the whole entire Linville River, which goes all the way. And take the camera off just for a minute. It's a little snowy. You ain't gonna be able to see it. Ooh, there's a Brown Mountain light. I don't know if y'all can see it. I went by Wolf Pit well, a few weeks ago, and me and my nephew and my son, and as we was coming down, we was hiking off of Short Off. And it's probably about maybe 7:30. I mean, we was probably about 20 minutes into darkness, and of course we had our lights and everything. But strange thing is that as we was walking down, I mean, the whole woods were eat up with lights, and I'm not talking about just like headlights. I mean, they were purple lights, red lights, yellow lights, unusual lights, and there's a trail that's coming right up here, and I know you probably can't see it. Let's see if I can pull it over here. And if you can find this trail, it looks like a little deer trail. You think a bunch of deer just, runs up in the woods and this bed, but right here. I don't know if you can see it, but that trail leads to a beautiful gem. And so find it and tell me what you think about it. A lot of hidden mysteries up here in Linville Gorge. One of my favorite places. Certainly is cool, but actually it's just a little bit above freezing from what I see, and I hear the water going. What's strange, you pull up in the corners and you'll see like that bush where some of the laurel and is this something about the gorge? It's just, I mean, it's very different than a lot of places you'll go see, because even the leaves and the trees, and I mean, it's like a jungle. And if you come into summertime, it's a hot and humid, and you can see the leaves sweating. And in wintertime, you can really see what all's going on, because these big leaves just hang and they die. Kind of hard to tell what's what when there's snow everywhere most of the time. And right here is an old this is an old, actually, believe it or not, this is a native trail, and it was took by the Confederate Army, and they would hike that trail, and they would go to the seas and mountains and try to sneak up on the enemy. And if there's a place you want to do it, that'd be a good place to do it. Let's see if we can get a little better light. Okay. Every time I come up to the gorge, I always find something new, something different. I've seen bears, and me and my son, we came up here, I guess we went about 2-3 months back, and You hear a bobcat just screaming. He ran up in the tree. Came hiking up off of the brook. They had a big falls on it. And it was on the way back, and we could hear probably, sound like at least probably about 50, maybe not even 25 yards. And you could hear a big old black bear. And next time we come up, we saw about three black bear on the back of a truck. And there's a lot of bear hunters that come up here. And the bears, they like the gorge too, so I don't blame them. Let me see if I can back up. I'll give you a little advice. Well, a little hint. I don't know if you can see this. Right here. You see a blaze mark. That's an MTS trail. And you'll see that a lot in the gorge. And I've saw them when I go up all the way up through here at the very top, up all the way to Wiseman's View. I've been on Short Off and Table Rock. And what the MTS trail was actually originated was the Indians. And we have some campers over here, and they are flashing their lights at me. But it's the Indians. They would take these trails, and they would hike them, and supposedly, and according to the even the forestry, was that they would take these trails and they'd go and supposedly go all the way to the sea. That's why it's called Mountain to Sea. It's getting a little, road's getting a little rougher. We'll see how it goes. I'm not beyond the fall, but I do have a Toyota Tacoma. Actually, it was rated the best truck to have during the apocalypse. 2002 Toyota Tacoma. What about that? I always tell people there's two decisions I made as far as the world, some of the best decisions ever made. And one of them was to buy a Toyota truck, and the other one was to marry Rebecca Gregg. You can see that, it's all black, and even if the sun comes up, you couldn't see it because it's snowing, snow clouds. But you talk about an awesome view. From there, you can see Short Off. You can get a real good view of the other side of the gorge. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is, let's see if we can pull up here. If we get stuck, we gotta go on this trail. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's yep, Pinnacle and Linville River. And so we got the Linville River. See if I can pull that up on the Linville River, and you got Pinnacle Trail. And of course, the Pinnacle Trail, it kind of spreads a little bit everywhere. I've heard people, if you look on the internet, you'll find 3 or 4 different trails, and every one of them say that they are the Pinnacle Trail. And if you look at the forestry map, you'll see, according to the forestry map, one of the closest trails to go to Linville River is supposedly Connolly or Spencer Ridge, but there's, and this is from the words of a preacher, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But there is a unofficial trail that I have been on several times, and you can get to Linville River in less than half a mile. Straight down. But one of the bad things is when you go straight down, you gotta come straight back up. I wish I could get the lighting good on here. We'll see what that does. Strange time in America. Strange time even for the church. Strange time even going out on a trail. And I've had and some of you that have been around, I apologize, I'm hitting some pretty rough spots. Oh, camera popped off, but whoop, there's a Blair Witch, what? There we go. But as I was saying, I don't have nobody here to remind me what I was talking about. But the generation that we live and that's growing now, it's often been called a generational gap. Even actually, I think one man defined it. He said it's really generational war. And it's not that people are different, because people live in the same bodies they do, and we still facing the same sin that we are, but well, that's strange, isn't it? So what I'm saying about the gorge, if somebody had a python or was to throw out a few jungle creatures, they would thrive in the Linville Gorge until winter. But it's been, you've heard it called before that the generational gap. And my generation, of course, I was a 90s kid. And when I grew up, we was called the Generation X. And we were supposed to be the last generation, that would have lived till, the end of the world, or the rapture, however you want to look at it. And I was reminded of what, I tell people all the time, and of course now you see the social, justice generation, or they've been called the snowflake generation and liberal generation, and sorry, we'll dodge you. But ultimately, people tell me, say, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, that it's a good trail right up that way. Also a good camp spot. But unless you've been living on a rock, that times are different now than they ever have been in the history of not just America, but the entire world. And people say, well, what generation we live in? Well, it goes back to what even our Lord said. He said that the world, he said, will wax worse and worse and worse. And he said it's going to get so bad. He said, you'll think the end's a coming, but he even said the end's not yet. And people say, well, what should we do? Well, the command of God, and I preached on this, preached on this, I think, last Wednesday, on the commands of Jesus. And one of the commands was that we are to watch and pray, and we're to look to the coming of the Son of Man. I'll show you a little secret right here. This branches off. You can see that gate right there. It's called 106. And 106
head northwest on Dobson Northwest Road, Old NC 106.
You can hear my GPS, but it goes to Dobson Road. And you've got a lot of trails up that way, and there's a few of them even scared me. And actually, there's actually one that it don't take just a breeze to go down to, and you'll find one of the most beautiful falls in this area. In fact, one of the names is called Secret Falls. And there's another trail. Our rotator cuff on my phone cut off, but you can see or not. Probably can't, too dark. That's just brake lights in the corner. But there's a special trail down that way too, and leads you off to a beautiful mountain.
Continue on Dobson Knob FS Road for 4 miles. Continue on State Road 1238 for 6 miles.
6 miles. We're headed to Wiseman's View. And I just want to keep up with the time and also the mileage. And we spent a little bit when I stopped, but the road's still good. Wiseman's View is probably one of the popular area up through this way. But now if you come from the bottom, from 126, you're looking at about 12 miles. And a lot of people go to the top, they'll hit 181, come down, hit a course road, and they'll come down from the top. But now, it's always easier to come down than as you go up. And it's faster to go down than to go up. And so when you come down fast, you'll miss a lot of stuff. Let's see, we're here. Yeah, we got some spots. Oop. Don't want to stop here, do we? There's another good trail. Leads you straight down to the gorge. Or Gorge, Linville Gorge. Got a camping spot up here on the left. Surprisingly, of course, I suspected that I probably wouldn't see anybody camping. We actually did. We saw, of course, they were cheating. They were using a camper. I tell people all the time, they say, what do you think about camping? I said, I love camping. But I wouldn't like camping too good unless I could bring a camper up here. And it's only so far you're going to bring it up to the gorge. If it ain't a tent, it ain't real camping. Another wonderful spot. And I do not recommend coming up Old Highway 105 unless you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. And even if you do have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, I would not recommend coming up when there's a forecast of 4 inches of snow and ice. But so far we're doing well. Sun should be coming up in about at least an hour. And if you plug the coordinates into GPS, it'll take you to Wiseman's View. But the only issue is that this road is full of so many pots and so many crevices that it's probably going to take you at least an hour and a half. There's just no way you can come through here going 20 miles an hour. Unless you want to bottom out or lose your front end. Let's see if we can turn it up this way. A little steeper. Whoop. There we go. Seems like nothing to run. Let's see here. Oop. I apologize, guys. It's I'm not trying to make a motion picture. Just want you to see a good view. It's really coming down. I think they're calling for 4 or 5 inches. And the strange thing is on the way up here, there was nothing on the road. And even what was accumulating was nothing like was up here. And, it's a different world. You're looking about in the winter time, it's always 15 degrees cooler most time. In the summertime, it's always about 30 degrees hotter. Oop. Ready to hit some. Now this will be a tough way to come back up. Something in the road up there. Actually, there's something on the windshield. One of the hardest trails I have ever hiked is right here. If you go up that way. And it's called the Pigeon Trail. And me and Mason, we just love the Gorge so much, and so we decided to come up this way. And we saw a trail. We said, "Well," so we'll hop on the trail. And we walk about a mile, and we noticed that several people went ahead of us, and they turned back around to come back. I asked him, I said, "What's at the bottom of the trail?" He said, "We don't know. We never reached the bottom." But Pigeon Trail is a straight down shot to the Linville River. But it's a straight down shot, and so, like I said, anytime you go down, you got to come back up. That's a good illustration there. A lot of people think they mess up in life and they get down, but anytime you go down, you can always come back up, just a little bit. I'm hoping at least make it a Wiseman View, and if we have to, we'll hit the top and come down 181 instead of coming back this way. But so far, everything's good. see this, but they are, it's really coming down. Nobody in that trailhead, are they? Everybody's in the trail bed. But to go back to what we were saying a few moments ago is that, you know, the generation now, I remember when I was growing up, I mean, one of my fondest memories was that, you know, we was walking up an old dirt road or going out in the woods and, you know, seeing what you could find, just go, you know, camping, learn how to build a fire, learn how to do stuff with your hands. And there's one thing this generation here lacks. And I've noticed, and you really don't have to really, you know, teach them. I mean, they kind of just are all going in the same direction, it seems like. And, I've had people tell me, say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Do you think everybody's saying?" No, I don't think everybody's saying, but I do know. I just noticed from observation. From observation, I've noticed is that 90% of this young generation, they all think the same. They all vote the same. They all have the same mindset and mentality. They're all for socialism and for free money. Don't want to work, and you know, I think it's a wonderful thing to go back to. You know, the old past. That's what the Bible said. If anybody be interested, if you got children or got some young boys or young, they might be interested in doing something like this, let me know. Send me a post or so. Remember one time the Boy Scouts was a wonderful thing, and of course transgenderism ruined Boy Scouts, and so I promise what we will. We'll try our best to keep the men being men, women being women. I took, I think it's four young boys. You pull up through here. Took about 4 young boys, maybe about 2-3 months ago. It was the first hike they'd ever been on, and one of them was real big into sports. His father, of course, the family, you know, I mean, they were pushing, and he's nothing in sports. I just never did. When you're 5'5", you're not going to be a basketball player, and that's the only sport I was good at as far as was powerlifting. But we took them out on their first hike and got them out in the woods and showed them about nature and God, and it was one of the highlights of their lives. They really enjoyed it, and in fact, pray for me. We're going up. To be continued. Just 1 second. Here we go. Oop. But as I was saying, everything's falling apart, but this here's a spectacular view. But the snow's still on the show today. All right, let's get back on track. But But as I was saying, we got something going on here. Can't really see what's going on, can we? Apologize for the audio and the video. It's not really, I'm not Steven Spielberg. People tell me all the time, say, you ought to get a better camera. And won't you do some better videos? Well, somebody would donate one, maybe. We'll probably have some better videos, but I'm thankful for what we got. But I took those boys hiking, and we took them out in the woods, and just getting around the lake and water and fish, and I mean, just to hear the crickets chirp. And they really enjoyed it. They did. And I think it's one thing that this generation has got away from them. Through here, I'm just giving away all kinds of free gems. Of course, you can't see now, but let's see. Super foggy. Well, there's a beautiful camp spot up here. You got an old widow tree. It's right up here. Let's see if you can see it or not. It's kind of eerie. Everybody I take up here, they say, kind of bothers them a bit, but let's see if we can get one. Well, you just have to come see it. But there's a beautiful, once you go past the tree, you got a beautiful view, and also it's a good camp spot. And you can make a fire and make your own fire. The only thing about the gorge that you got to be careful about, depending on what type of gear you have and what you're using and what time of year, is a big deal to do with what type of camping or what kind of experience you want to have. And of course, as you can see, in the winter time, it's winter. In the summertime, it's really summer, and you'll think that you just walked right into the jungle. And most of the time, from an average, and what I've looked at, and I think we might have a tree down. No, it's just on that side. But from the average, you'll find that most of the time, no, actually it's not. Just a big snowbank. It is really, I don't know if you can tell, but since we have come up here, the weather has really changed. And I think it was at least 38 degrees when I came up here. And you could hear slush around the tire. And there wasn't as much snow, but now you can tell that there's not only snow, it's got deep. So we'll see as much as we can. But the gorge, and you'll notice most of the time, probably about, I'd say at least, regardless of whatever time you're up here, you're looking around 80 to 90% humidity. I took Brother Nathan on a hike up here, and we came, and it was, I think it was one of his first hikes. And we came up this way, and cool air, the sun. I mean, you didn't have to worry about sun or, no heat or anything, but by the time we had even got halfway in where we were going to go, and it was a mile trail, we were all just drenching. And you wouldn't think you'd find so much humidity in the wintertime, but the air gets so thin because you're so high that's a big, I don't know if y'all saw that. But there it gets thin. Of course, when you got thin air and cold air, it's a little harder to breathe. Of course, always got the Linville River throwing water in there, and you'll get drenched. Another big one is hydration, and I had no idea. Of course, I noticed that when I first started hiking during the summertime, of course, I had no problem drinking water. And I don't think the picture really does it justice. I don't know if y'all guys can really see that. But that goes straight down, and there's probably at least about four inches of snow on that. We can't turn around, so we're going to have to go through it. But you got to be careful hiking up through, because one of the dangers is dehydration. And even in the wintertime, you don't really get thirsty, and that's what makes the big danger. Is because this time in the wintertime, it's not hot, the sun's not beaming on you. You're trying your best to stay warm, and all of a sudden, you'll find yourself just drained. And the reason why is because you're dehydrated, and that's one of the biggest killers is dehydration. And I didn't know this. And me and Mason, we went hiking up on I think it was Table Rock, and of course I saw these signs several other places. But 90% of all people who go missing, and fatalities and deaths and accidents occur, believe it or not, in Linville Gorge. And and I didn't know this until I got to going up through this way, and really got to getting into it, was that Linville Gorge is the second, I think in the country, it's been deemed as the second wilderness or the second deadliest wilderness in America. But if you got a Toyota, you can drive right through it. All right, guys, I'm gonna pause right here, and so say a prayer before I get the next video. Hopefully we can make it up there, and we'll just go back the other way. All right, talk to you in a bit.